Hi, welcome to 30-Minute Mindfulness. We are on. I got all the technical difficulties worked out, I believe. How cool. So today I thought we would talk about nurturing our self-esteem. A lot of times I find that people don't clearly understand what we're actually talking about when we say self-esteem. So self-esteem is how we feel about ourselves. It describes the relationship you have with yourself. If I have a healthy self-esteem, I have an encouraging, safe, hopeful, supportive, and reassuring relationship with myself. If I have a lower or diminished self-esteem, I have an adverse, unfriendly, unkind, destructive, or an antagonistic relationship with myself. Healthy self-esteem is feeling worthy of our thoughts, our feelings, our needs, and our ideas. It feels like we have value, like we matter. Self-esteem doesn't have to do with our accomplishments. It has to do with the value we put on taking care of ourselves and our needs. Self-esteem says, I am worthy because I'm a human being. I have value. Self-esteem is not about performing or success. That would be ego esteem. So ego esteem would say, I'm great because I have this great job, I have this great house, I have this great car, whatever, great something. Ego esteem says something outside of me is making me awesome. It's making me whole. It's showcasing my ability to be smart, my ability to be superior, my ability to be intelligent, whatever it might be. Self-esteem, on the other hand, is the worth that we have in ourselves, even if all of that status stuff or success is lost, we still have value. So if the car, the house, and the job are taken away, a person with a healthy self-esteem still holds value in her worth. She's worthy because she exists, not because she is successful or she has this or that or whatever. Self-esteem arises from an inner knowing. It's not something we earn. It's just something we have. It's the underlying belief that we're worthy. One of the most difficult aspects of a diminished self-esteem is the voices, those harsh critic inner voices that we have in our head. What do those voices in your head sound like when you make a mistake? What do they say? Would you speak to a 4-year-old child with the same tone, with the same words? Is that voice in your head harsh? Would you say those things to your best friend? Those are really important aspects to understand because they bring awareness to how we treat ourselves, how we value ourselves. Every time we use a critical tone or a harsh name or a label, we chip away at our self-esteem. It's like cutting away pieces of who we are. So an example of a critical inner critic might sound something like, I'm so stupid. I'm such a loser. I hate myself for doing that. I'm such a klutz. I'm an idiot. I'm so lazy. I'm a total fraud. I have zero integrity. What a fool I am. I can't do anything right. I'm such a mess. These convey messages that I'm not good, that I'm not worthy. And they're really toxic for our well-being. And over time, they create massive holes in the connection to who we are. So the antidote to these generalized global statements are to get specific. When we get specific, we're not globalizing everything. We're not making everything something that always is. Instead of saying, I'm so stupid, that could be reframed to say, geez, bummer. I did not do as well as I would have liked to do on that project at work this week. What could I do next time to ensure a better result? Do you see how that reframe gets us into that productive mindset? It gets us working toward overcoming the challenge rather than wallowing in this shame of not being perfect or not being good enough. So we see clearly what we need to improve on, but we're not beating ourselves up over it. We're seeking to find a solution, to create a resolution, to solve a problem. We see this mistake as part of learning rather than part of who we are. I'm not the mistake. I'm seeing this as part of learning. Here we go. Let's figure it out. When we get specific, we see the problem more accurately. We see what is really happening. This one thing. It's not who we are. It's not this overwhelming thing, but this one thing needs to be improved on. Then there might be many things that need to be improved on, but we take it one thing at a time, one specific thing at a time. Every thought we have, no matter how painful or mean it is, exists because it serves us in some way. It rewards us in some way. So the inner critic might help us by limiting our feelings of failure, because it might stop us from trying things that we're not naturally good at. Oh no, don't try that. No, don't do that. Do this. You're already good at that. So it might limit our ability to test new waters. The inner critic might protect us from starting a new business that we've always dreamed of, because it protects us from taking scary risks. The inner critic may protect us from seeing the abuse going on in our relationship, because if I actually understood the harm that was being caused to me from this abusive relationship, I would have to leave my relationship. And that would be more scary than staying in this somewhat predictable abusive relationship. The inner critic may provide a protection from dreaming. That's impossible. That's impractical. That costs money. You have no idea how to do that. Be practical. Be safe. You're not ready. You're not good enough. Who do you think you are to do that? You can't. Those are all ways that our inner critic can protect us from stepping into that self-esteem, that healthy relationship with who we are, that relationship that cultivates our best self. The inner critic blinds us from seeing our power and our responsibility to change our lives. Our inner critic may create an extremely limited story about who we are or who we're supposed to be. And that story often becomes so entrenched in our thinking that we see no other outcome or possibility. It's just the way I am. It's just the way I am. That's it. We become that limited story without seeing a different way, without seeing our own brilliance, without seeing the freedom that lies just on the other side of that hard work. We can't see a different way of doing it when we're caught by the story of our inner critic. When you change your thoughts, you will change your life. Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, usually you're right. Self-esteem is believing that you can even when the chips are down. Limitations are just an illusion. Change your perspective and you will see through the illusion. In order to live as the best version of who we are challenged to see through that illusion, to see through our limited thinking patterns. And we do that by looking at our self-esteem, by looking at the way we talk to ourselves, by the way we relate to challenging situations, the stories we tell ourselves. So with that, I invite you to close your eyes and let's find a posture that's comfortable, that's upright but not rigid. And just take a couple deep breaths just to bring you present right here, right now. Allow yourself to be still. This is our recess, our time of giving back to ourselves, filling our own tank. So just let that rise and fall of your breath, that in and out, let that be your anchor to the present moment. And just come back to that whenever you need to. I invite you to bring to mind a situation recently that was challenging or just sticky in some way for you. If nothing comes to mind, that's okay. No need to force it. Just see what arises. What needs our attention arises when we practice mindfulness. So in that challenging situation, how did your inner critic speak to you? Is it the voice of a man or a woman? Is it harsh, critical, maybe even brutal? Maybe sometimes there's a neutral sense about your critic. Does your inner critic call you names? What does it sound like? As you bring to awareness the tone and the words of your inner critic, what senses arise? What do you feel? Do you feel sadness? Do you feel hurt? Betrayed by your inner voice? What is it? And where do you feel that in your body? Do you feel like knots in your tummy or a tightness in your throat? Just notice where that feeling arises in your body. Now, what would you be forced to notice or be aware of if that inner critic wasn't attacking you? What would you feel if that inner critic wasn't attacking you? How does the inner critic help you? What does the inner critic protect you from? What are you afraid you might do or fail to do without the inner critic? Another way to say that would be, how does the inner critic serve you? There's no right answers or wrong answers. What we're doing is we're developing a deeper awareness of what makes us tick. And that insight cultivates a friendship with ourself. We create a safe place. We become our own best friend so that we can express in our heartfelt sense and in our mind what it is that's really alive for us. And when we see that, we gain tremendous insight that can really help us change the direction of our life. This is very much a courageous path. Acknowledge your courage for being willing to see more clearly. For the next few minutes, just wrap yourself in that kind intention, that warm embrace, that envelop your body with light, whatever image works for you, but call that to mind and really embody your body in that sense of light and love, that sense of safety, that sense of nurturing. Wrap that warm blanket of kind intention around your shoulders and just hold that tight. And just sit with the intention of seeking wisdom, seeking deeper understanding, seeking healing, and seeking wholeness. Let's just sit with that intention. I'll ring the bell in just a minute. So just hold that kind intention for your well-being for these final moments. And when you're ready, please open your eyes. Thanks for being here. As always, I appreciate your comments and feedback, so please email me or leave them in the comment section below. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.